Photographer from the,
Hey, Mike.
I don't know.
Mike.
Denise? Okay. What's her name? Erica emailed me the other day and asked me for some info. She said, by the way, Denise will be there. I said, okay. That's how I knew you were here. Okay. What am I doing? What works? Yes. I like the one at the very end, December's. Santa Claus and that little girl. You'll get to it.
The meetings are over.
Yeah, there's a bunch of really pretty ones. Isn't that darling? Is that Taylor? I looked.
Yeah, that's true.
Did you see the picture?
No.
Oh, I looked at it and didn't recognize Taylor. Oh, how cute.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we will be here. 1, 2, 3.
Waterworks.
Yeah, we're ready. Yeah, whoa.
Call this Board of Works meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Member Donnie Bryant.
Present.
Member Mario Todd.
Here.
Member Aaron Cook.
Here.
Member Bill Bruner.
Present.
Mayor Dennis Carr.
Here.
Attorney Leslie Votaw.
Here.
Utility Director Mel Davis.
Here.
And me. All here.
Any announcements?
No. Not me.
Computer and approved claims. Any claims?
Yeah, there's a Board of Works, I meant. Well, somewhere there's a Board of Works thing to be signed, yeah.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you, guys. Here. Donna, you need to sign that, and then we'll pass it the other way.
New business. Hearing none, going to old business. That's the Votaw Riverwatch lease.
Okay.
You all got a copy of the recent
Oh, here.
revision of the lease. I think I gave that to you at the last meeting.
Thank you.
Just kind of wanted to put it on the agenda for discussion.
Are you going to ask for a vote tonight, Les?
I do know, as far as under Indiana law, and I did convey that to Mr. Rowland, that I do believe it can be a month-to-month until this is worked out, meaning at the end of the year, a couple days, then he would be on a month-to-month, which would be under all the old lease terms.
Everybody review the lease? I said everybody review the lease. Any questions?
Yeah, I got one. I don't think we need to lease it out anymore. I think the city needs to get rid of that. I'd make a motion to that fact.
Can we talk about it a little bit, Donnie?
There's a provision there for, I think.
Right, I mean, I was just thinking, you know, it's been leased for quite some time. I don't know what the
11 years.
11 years, and you know, a very good deal. And you know, after this lease is up, working out the particulars, you know, I mean, I would like to know what it's really worth. You know, possibly maybe going out for some requests for proposals. You know, for
RFPs.
to see, you know, if there's any other interest. You know, what they might be. You know, who knows who would be interested. You know, also as far as, you know, income, we've put a lot of money in that thing in the last 11 years.
A lot of money.
You know, I mean, obviously it's a good business, brings people down.
Yeah, I was just here to answer if you had any questions as far as what I have invested in it too. I think a lot of people have a misconception of $1 a month that I pay for my lease. They think the city just put all that money in it and I just operate a business. There was an empty barge 11 years ago when I got it, and by the time I had to build it out into a restaurant, kitchen, restrooms, everything, but I have $405,000 into that boat right now. And I just brought another barge up, and and I've got 179 in that one. So it's not like,
Pretty.
it's not like I don't have any money in this thing.
Not saying you didn't.
Yeah.
Just saying, I know the city has a lot of money, and going in, you know, you've had a good deal. The city's
Right.
always helped you when you've needed help as far as issues, you know, things like that. You know, I'm just curious on, you know, because, you know, obviously we have a new event center coming.
Right.
And I'm just curious on, you know, what other interest there might be. You know, really what it's worth, to be honest. If there's, you know, just the interest to see what else is out there. Not to say that I'm, you know,
Yeah.
trying to push you out, by all means, but just curious. So,
You think it ought to be appraised?
I mean, as far as what it's worth, I'm saying, you know, who's interested, what they might bring, you know.
Why not? We've
Knows
appraised
where it
everything
is.
else in town.
I'm just throwing it out there, suggestions. We haven't talked about this for 11 years, so.
I'm just the opposite. I mean, I know $1 a month is a good deal. I mean, I would love to have it too, but we give all these people these grants and the businesses flop. This guy here, he came in there and it was nothing, like he said, over a decade ago, and it's made into a place people like to go. I mean, if we go ahead and get it appraised and get somebody else in there, we might get, you know, even a name brand restaurant come in there, think they can all gung-ho about doing something, and they leave in 3 years. At least this guy's established that he's been here.
Well, I think I established a good business, and it wasn't easy. It's, you know, restaurants and bars, you got close to 65% that fail in the first 2 years. And to make a go of it, you got to work at it. And I did. I worked my butt off for 11 years to make it what it is now. And to put it out for a bid for somebody else just to say, okay, well, we got a restaurant down here. You know, I can operate it better than him. I brought a lot of business into the town also. You know, Mario, I don't know how many cars we went to the parking garage this year. Did you get a final count?
I don't have the final count.
Somewhere around 6,800 cars, from what I understand, that I stamped
The tickets.
they're validated the ticket. So in 4.5 months, and for me to bring 6,800 cars down this street all the way down to the bottom, trying to help the other businesses too. I mean, they come to me to eat, but there's shopping they can do too. And that's what it was all about, building the city up. And we still got a lot of ways to go to build the city up too, for businesses.
Mike, I have a question.
Yes.
Have you turned in anything on the insurance that you have on them to Mario or anybody? I don't know that I've got anything. It says you have got insurance, you know, on it.
Yes.
What it says in
Yes, I
here?
do.
Okay, but
I
have you
can-
turned it into anybody?
I don't think I turned it in.
Well, if you haven't, would you bring me a copy,
I sure will.
please?
I sure will.
We have a file.
Sure.
And that I keep stuff
Okay.
in on insurance for stuff, and I'll stick it in there. if
I
you
got
would,
the policy,
please.
I got the policy to the
Doesn't have to be
house.
today or tomorrow,
Okay.
you know.
Keep in mind, he's just insuring his own goods. We
Right.
actually
Oh,
carry-
okay.
We actually carry the structure.
Oh, okay, then I guess I don't need it.
We carry the fire.
I-
He does do general liability
Okay,
for all.
then don't worry
you know.
about it. I forgot we've, you know, my
I
other
would just like to,
thing.
Leslie, I'd like to get this
Okay. Okay.
The walkway going to Mario, that belongs to the city, right?
Correct. City.
So the bars move, that's gonna be decked up.
Can we make that sidewalk move for me?
That'd be nice.
The walkway, the dolphins, the docks are so.
Up to the board, whatever the board wants to do.
Bubba, was you putting that in a motion?
No, I'm
he
just
just-
trying to make conversation to see if, you know,
To talk about it before
I mean, we haven't
motions
talked
or
about
anything's
this,
made.
and, you know, we haven't talked about it really talked about it. I mean, we've, you know, renewed his lease, and again, not saying you've done a bad job. I mean,
Right.
you know, I've been down there, I've seen what you've done. I'm just making conversation to see if
Well,
anyone
and I
else has any.
compliment Mike, you know, 11 years, we've had our battles, but, I mean, Mike's done a great job down there, lasting 11 years, like he had said. The only thing I'm not in favor of is a long-term lease, if we decide to lease. And I think I've shared that with Mike.
As far as year to year?
Either year to year and no more than 2.
At this price, $1 a year.
No, what, that's another thing.
No.
I think that's the problem with everybody, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think if, you know, if we do renew the lease, then there has to be some type of monetary, the dollars.
I think we got
I
other
think
things
that
to,
and more of the upkeep put on, in their hands.
Well, Mike, why don't you get us just basically the improvements, the money you spent, I mean, basically since 2003,
right.
if you can. And any other, financial information, obviously you don't have to provide financial information, but anything you think it would help us, in any kind of decision. I think we talked about
Well, the
that
other
last
thing
time
is,
we talked.
I'm looking to be open next year, the entire year, since the convention center's going in. And there's a lot of things I have to do to be open in the winter. I may have to put enclosures, I got to put heat out there. I may have to put something over the bridge going down, a top and sides. So there's a lot more expenses that has to go into that to be open for the entire year.
And again, that's something that obviously would make a big difference. I mean, when you're
Sure.
open year-round. I mean, when
Sure.
you're open in the summer months.
Right,
So-
right. But see, it wasn't feasible for me to be open in the winter the first 10 years. It was mainly a summer restaurant, I really didn't have that many people wanting to come down to the river during the winter time and, in the cold and snow, but within that time, I built the menu up. I've got people coming that like the food now, so, you can do it in the winter time. I'm not going to be as busy as the summertime, but I said just to get me by through, just to pay the bills in the winter time, I'd be happy with just to keep my employees. Because every year you go out and hire all new employees. By the time you get them trained, you're closing up. So this way, at least I could keep my good employees, and it'd be a lot easier.
And keep in mind, if he does the improvements like he's talking about, those become permanent fixtures to the walkway and stuff.
Right.
Those will be,
I mean, the only things that, like, for instance, we talked about it was, everything in there but one walk-in, is that right? You've bought, as far as the fixtures?
Everything in there I bought everything.
Didn't we supply one?
No,
No. We didn't supply any kind of freezer or anything like that?
nope.
I think it was stand-ups, which she's talking about.
There may have been a stand-up freezer.
Oh, okay.
It's not in existence
But everything
anymore.
else, as far as the kitchen equipment, the bar, everything?
The bathrooms, the bar, the entire inside, the ceilings, it was just I had to redo windows and doors in order for it to be functional. I added an addition onto the front, the roof on the front. But yeah, I mean, all the plumbing, all the wiring, that's all new. That you have to run. Everything is new.
And the only thing he can take upon termination of any type of agreement are things that he can take without.
Right, that's not part of the
Right.
the real estate
It's not
itself.
going to damage the barge.
All them things you're talking about doing, are you gonna be coming to the city for any help in them areas, or?
I came to the city a couple different times for a grant, and I've never gotten anything from the city. No grants. Even when I first started, I asked for one of the low percent loans and filled out all my paperwork and gave it to Mr. Steidel, and I was denied that. And I asked the reason on that, and he said, "You already have a loan." And I was paying 8%, and I could have gotten a 1 or 2% at the time. So as far as that, no, I've never come to the city and asked for money.
Board's pleasure.
There is a motion on the floor.
I mean,
Yeah, you got a motion.
You want to rescind that or leave it or what?
I'd like to see what you were talking about as far as just, improvements and things.
Documentation.
Just to look at numbers.
This barge you floated up, that don't have anything to do with what structure you got now. That
No,
don't have anything to do with the city structure.
No.
That's yours.
yes.
That shouldn't be, the price of that should not
And
be
under
in
the
there.
second.
No, I'm just saying that's something I added to.
Right.
Added to this, which is a
stipulation
179.
of his last lease, is that he had to install, that was part of the negotiations, was that he installed that party barge.
So Mike, if you gave us an outline, what you've got to date, I think you said 450,000 to date roughly.
405,000. That's what I have in it, in the main barge.
And maybe break that down so they can see, interior fixtures,
Sure.
build-outs, and also maybe the proposal, which you've got.
What kind of money the city got in that up to date?
They put a new bottom on just recently.
What that bottom cost, Mario?
We're 200-some thousand into it. I was gonna say, if you would possibly give us a proposal, what you've got planned,
Sure.
maybe we can take a look at that also.
Okay.
I just jotted it down. I don't have anything, and I mean, I can get that to you.
So Donnie, you want to send your motion, make a difference or something? Or how you want to do that?
Or you want to leave it? Just tell us what you want to do.
I'd like to leave it. I'd like to see us, if he wants to buy the thing, or put it out there for bid and.
I'd rather not buy it that way. I mean, that to me is,
I don't think the city needs their hands on that thing and the upkeep and.
What's the rest of the board want to do?
Well, you need a second on that motion then.
What's the motion, Jackie? Can you read it?
Donnie said you don't want to lease it, you'd like to sell it and get rid of it?
I'd like to put it up for bid.
Put it up for bid, yeah.
You put that in a motion, or
Yeah, that's what he did, yeah.
need a second? I'd like a second. How the board want to do?
I'd like to see, like Mario said, proposal, what he's got in it, just the particulars.
Put that in motion?
Yeah.
Okay, so your motion says we want an outline of the cost he's got in it, plus a proposal of what he plans to do. Sound good?
Sounds great.
Okay.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All against?
Okay.
Roll call, please.
Who seconded? Wait a minute. You made the motion. Who?
Yeah.
Mario, okay, sorry. Mario,
Yes.
okay. Aaron?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Okay. And Donnie?
Nay.
Okay. It's 3-1.
Okay.
8 ayes have it, yeah.
Did you get the information for him?
sure will. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Leslie, service truck bid.
This is back in front of you from the November 4th meeting. There's a bid opening. Was that November 4th?
November 18th I've got, but maybe, oh no, it's November 4th, I'm sorry.
This is for the 2014 service maintenance truck bid opening. I think what happened the last meeting when I presented what I told you all, I think that you all tabled it. And it wasn't put on the our last meeting. So some representatives from Hag Ford came up and asked if it could be put on this agenda for this work session, so we did. I guess, does the board have any questions?
Comment. Personally, I think we need to, if paperwork wasn't proper, I think we need to move to the next bid, because if we do this time, then, and I know, Hag Ford's local, but if we do it this time, it's going to create an issue down the road. I think we need to go with the proper documents, and that would,
Even though the next,
that would have us going to the next bid.
which is 10,000 some odd dollars more. Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Just to keep things on an even keel.
They did everything up to what the specs was wrote, right?
I had 3 quotes turned in. One was responsive, one was late, so we never opened it, and the other was short on meeting the minimum requirements for the quote process, and was disqualified. And there again, my recommendation still stays the same. We had one responsive bid, and that's who I recommended initially to award that.
Who was that, Bloomington?
Yes.
How about city attorney, have you changed your opinion, or?
I just said, it just says the purchasing agent may reject all quotes. I mean, that's what the statute says. So, I mean, I know past practices, like Bill mentioned, I think they want to be fair across the board. And if you reject all of them now, then they all know what all three of them bid. So, I mean, there is a little bit of unfairness there, I think.
Well, in light of all the criticism we've taken over the last couple of years as far as being transparent.
If this one company's met all the bed specs, the rest of them didn't. It's a no-brainer. Up to the board, I don't vote.
Was that a motion, Bill?
Yeah, again, I'd love for it to go local, but at the same time,
Would too, but it's,
you know.
they didn't meet the specs, they didn't meet the specs.
I make a motion to go with the bid with the proper documents.
There a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All against?
Aye.
Mario,
Yes.
Aaron,
No.
Bill's yes. Donnie,
No.
2 yeses and 2 nos.
Your Honor, I thought there was a paragraph in there that the forms that they was give to meet the specs that allowed us to override the bid if the board felt to do so. Lisa, wasn't it?
Mike, you don't know the specs.
No, what you guys can do is, legal counsel stated,
Reject them all.
is to reject them all and start from scratch, or you follow the bid requirements. You do have the option to reject all of them.
I vote for limited report.
Okay, it's not tied anymore.
Okay, no more old business?
I haven't.
Any comments for the audience? Hearing none, motion adjourned. So moved. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Council meeting starts as soon as you get seated.
It says 6 o'clock on the notice.
Oh, okay, I wait till 6 o'clock. So we got 35 minutes.
35 minutes?
If you get seated in 35 minutes, that'd be great.
Thank you, thank you. Appreciate it, Mario.
We should have 30 minutes.
35 minutes.
Oh,
There's a bunch of them. Straightforward.
no, but I didn't think about it, I could have.
They get an extension of time on that road manager.
Let's see.
The only thing is, I talked to the attorney.
It does.
And he said the only reason it is, I haven't done all mortgage foreclosures, but it's the same type of thing. We have a mortgage, our mortgage has priority. Meaning we get paid first before they do. Well, they have to make us.
Connie.
In order to basically make
paper
our
pencil with you.
lien, perfect their lien.
I've got some stuff for the agenda for,
No. It's just all.
I don't know if they'll be there on the 6th, I told them, but
Mechanics.
donations for guns and hoses and Special Olympics. Did I tell you that? Okay, that's fine. Good. But you know, they come into me and it's like, you know, you gotta be doing something else here. Who? Guns and hoses? Andy Kleiner, Special Olympics.
And we might be able
Okay.
to file.
Well, I told Mr. Klein, I said, somebody's got to come. I said, we always donate, we always do, but I said, somebody's going to need to come.
I know. At least. I don't know what the answer is either.
That's the thing, when he said he'd be open year round.
I just said, you didn't have to come up, like you could have told me how to come out
I totally
there.
agree with you. You shouldn't be just talking to them.
Yeah. Well, the problem is, they think they can send in letters to me or him or somebody, and that'll automatically get them money without appearing, because we don't have time to appear. Well, I don't have time either, but I do, I'm here.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't recognize that structure.
No, it did, yeah. Well, but I've got this thing on Guns and Hoses. And that's Special Olympics. I guess it's Special Olympics they call me.
there now.
Okay. I am. And this has already been handed out on Guns and Hoses. Council already has it. Yeah. Unless I call the prosecutor and tell them they need to send somebody over here. Well, it's, you know.
Yesterday. 30th.
Yeah. And then again, because this thing I think's in March, isn't it?
6 a.m.
Yeah, March 1st. So they don't have a lot of time. Oh, really? On a Saturday? Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, well, but your hips are doing good, right?
Got what?
Yeah.
Never do today what you can put off till tomorrow, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah, well, yeah. Well, one was a lot for me, so I can imagine what two are.
So anyway, forward it to you. So any information we have, I don't know.
You're way up there. Yeah.
Oh, then can I make a copy and give it back to you?
Yeah, I think that your people are out of my network.
I'm coming up in council.
Yeah.
The only thing we have on there is grant recommendations.
I know. Yeah.
But yeah, let me make a copy and I'll give it to you.
Okay. Okay. Okay, no problem. Just checking, thank you. Are we doing group hugs tonight? Why not? Just asking, Michael.
Everybody's our
Well,
That's why.
let's get rid of that. Thought somebody was talking.
Yeah, I just ordered that the other day. I don't have anything, but thanks. Yeah, and then I forwarded to him, and whatever, he doesn't have.
For what?
There's a public record. I'll make sure you get it.
Well, they better forward it to me if they want it.
Well, I think
Yeah.
Mike Laney, it's directed to the police department.
Oh, okay.
So I think he should have most of it, and
Okay.
whatever he doesn't have, he should have.
Yeah, no, that's like, stuff today, and I said, just put it before. I gave him my very best smile as I got romantic with him. I said, you know, it's kind of sad here. He said, like, I couldn't find it. And I tried to tell him, I said, I don't always get everything. You know, I get most of it, but there are things that I do not get. Let's see. Grant. I'm sorry.
What was that, remaining payment for Main Street?
Oh, that was, we pay the ice rink, the first installment. We have to hold the second installment. Then the money that's left over in that line item, Main Street gets that money to pay the ice rink. I mean, we don't have to pay the ice rink. That's what it is. It's something we do each year.
Because I just couldn't say remaining payments, because I thought they got their money.
Well, they got their other money in that, but this is on the skating rink. And I'll have to tell Brittany to, if it's to do with a certain thing, put a little more info if she can on there.
So you pay for the rink itself?
Yeah, well, I write the checks for the rink, and I already paid them, and I kept the money for the final installment when they take it down. And then whatever the difference was between the rink money and the amount in that line, that goes to Pat to pay the guards. And she came in, I don't know, last week or so. I don't know. Okay, what's that?
I'd say she's got a phone maybe in her purse with an alarm or ring or something, I don't know.
Is that Leslie's? Oh, okay, I don't know. Here, give me, they'll quit, maybe not. Let me see. And most of these are things that had to be paid by the end of the year, or they were bills to do, that maybe, we might incur a penalty on or something. It's just to clean up the year. Of course, then today, Napa called. Well, we've got 3 or 4 invoices that have been paid during the year, that were paid before the end. I said, what the hell, it's the 30th. Of course, Brittany was a little more diplomatic than I was. I'm like,
That's a little blonde-headed girl?
Yeah. I said, it's a hell of a note.
She seemed very nice.
Yeah, and she's, yes, oh, she's got, put it the other day. Degree in finance, it's not finance, but.
Accounting or?
Yeah, accounting degree, I'm sorry, thank you.
I know she seemed very nice.
Yeah. She used to work for Humboldt.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
they had said that one day.
And, I couldn't think for my life of the week. I'm like, whatever. I said, she's got this, she can do all these things, I said. And I said, but I don't have to work for it.
Did she say she didn't work it all the time?
Yeah, they bought a house out on Livingston Road. Yeah, she is. She fits in real well with the other girls, and she's just doing so much stuff that nobody either did or could do or didn't want to do before. So she's just really picking up the corner there. I was looking for, I thought.
And at the end of the day, that's good for you, because it's less pressure.
Yeah, right, you're right.
I think there's heaps going on.
Somebody really wants it. Oh, was that yours?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We thought it was Leslie's. That's the wrong one. Let's see. Oh, I know. I paid the second installment to ice rinks here, and then there's $3,000 that Pat said we have to hold until they take it down, and then pay them. I just saw this, it said second installment. I thought, okay, wait a minute. This is for ice guards.
I have one other question.
Sure.
Knights of Columbus building, November and December 2013.
That's a grant for Adam Gilliam over there at the art place.
Now, who's that?
Adam?
The grant.
Oh, it's through, it's a grant through the program, the city or something. They win those small grants. That's one of those, I think. And he rents from the Knights of Columbus. So the
Because I had requested, I don't know whenever that was, October 28th, for any, rent that's paid. I said, anything, they said, no, there wasn't any. And then I seen that on there. So is that from, well, that must have been from last year they done that. They even do that in 2011?
I don't know for sure. Hi. I'm not really sure, to tell you the truth, because we don't do anything but write the checks. That's through ARA. That's one of ARA's things. Programs. Yes, Tom. Yeah. No. What they're going to do is the council's going to approve or disapprove the recommendations on the grants from the last meeting that the Grant County had. So,
see, the problem is with your grant, which I'm going to bring up, when it comes to redevelopment, because you weren't there, another lady came. Okay, that's probably the grant committee, I'm guessing, because you're supposed to have sponsorship from, and she was told they need to come back at the next meeting, and reapply, because you can't use the grant money for wages. There's wages in there, and that's why I don't understand why nothing was changed. It's still in here that way. There was somebody on the board that asked that. Right, it says what. Because it may be on wrong, but they even said at that night in the meeting, grants and stuff that can't be used for wages, which I have, because there's a couple of them in here that's got wages. And I can't remember about the, I meant to actually stop over this morning before I went to work, once I get there, look at the, Jackie. Let me look at the report for the grant. Because I can't remember if it says it in there, because it's been said it says in there, and I can't remember if that it can't be used. Well,
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm serious.
But
well, no. Will it happen tonight, Mike? I don't know.
It either be passed or, well, that's the thing. It's in, I mean, it's in here. You don't have to present.
You don't have to present. It's already gone
At the
through. You
redevelopment.
presented it.
Well, some of mine. Oh, I would say you don't need to be here.
Well, then go. They'll be fine. No.
Because typically it's just, yes, they would have a discussion, but most times people's not here. Because, that's why I want to let you know. Instead of redevelopment, because they're supposed to sponsor it, well, they never sponsored it because it said need to come back next meeting and change some things. Well, then, and that's why I was kind of shocked it was in there, I guess.
He might not be down here for a while. Just go. We'll tell him you were here.
I mean,
No, I don't see why.
I mean, sure, if you're here, someone might ask questions, but it's not. Most people are not Okay, what's her name?
Bridget. Ask him. Huh? Oh, okay. Oh, hyphenated last name. Okay.
So if anybody does say something that they wish somebody was here, so.
But take your right home. Your home life will be much better. Right, Mike?
I assure you.
Don't know. Yeah, you want to go up this way?
Well, that's what I told them, because it's in here for approval. But I said, you're supposed to come back here, make a presentation, things because that's what he was asking, because his wife's birthday or something, about taking her out. I said, I can take her out.
Well, I said too, Connie. I said, go take her out. Your home life will be much happier.
No, he's busy. He and his friends to Cincinnati one night.
We had like 35 minutes. Well, they told me not to post it till 6. I didn't know it was only going to take a half an hour.
I never paid attention to that.
Well, you can't put, you're going to run them continuously. But next time I won't be putting an hour, I'll be cutting it back. If we roll over, we're going to roll over, that's all. Was that a nice Christmas?
Kids was happy, so.
Oh, that's good.
As long as they're happy.
Yeah.
I'm taking.
I'm gonna get the wife happy. Oh, well, yeah, that's it.
We were going to go to the doctor, and then went to the second doctor. We're going to go to Dr. McPherson. He's a neurologist. He's a brain surgeon. He's a brain surgeon. He's a brain surgeon. He's a nerve surgeon. He told me he'd take away my back pain. First doctor said he wouldn't. I'd have chronic back pain the rest of my life. And he's got such a good bedside manner. He says, Jane, I will take care of you. I will get you.
It's not bad.
I'm going to do what I'm told.
It doesn't dissolve, you didn't already
Now, where are you going to detox and where are you going to rehab them at?
I mean, my brother's had one in so, they're that's kind of where we're at. And then the family yourself spread out this brother, and that came down and had dinner with them.
Drug and alcohol inpatient?
I don't spread out.
Michael, I need to talk to you real quick. I need to talk to him real quick.
minutes.
Hi guys. Nothing new.
And yes,
They get excited on their feet.
I had Jacob, I took Jacob home, see, I used to work with his 8-year-old house, because he wanted to watch it. Jacob wanted to go with me.
That's why she's so
That's Bobby. How's Bobby?
Mayor, how you doing? All right, how you doing? Mr. Mayor. Excuse me.
Hello, Mr. Davis.
I respect him. I see you sitting there.
I just called him Melvin.
Randy, how you doing? I appreciate that, sir. Yes. Cheryl. You haven't heard about it yet.
Well, I've heard of
Kids come in?
Right now,
How's Brandon doing, all right?
I don't know.
Yeah, Joe couldn't make it down. But that's good place for him. He knows the route.
That's where you get the footage. They send the guy down there.
Hey, I got it.
So they said because we have a
We're going to Florida we're actually coming into Florida, but we're not going to get a chance to stop. Okay, not moving. Probably never moved back. That was the one time.
I don't think anything's been done.
Hello, Mayor. How are you? Which one? Oh, yeah? The back?
For a half-hour drive. They're in the Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah.
Donnie, behave.
No. Oh,
I have for the last X number of years. I'm not going out there with the crazies. That's true. I don't know over the years how many mayors have gone there. You don't want to be the next one or the first one or whatever.
I'm coming to your town. Problems? I do every year. You there it is. I know every year. They actually like me down there. I'll trade you.
But I just mean as far as been having
Did he?
Oh, yeah, probably.
Once we know.
All right.
Well, no. Not here. Oh, is he down here? Okay. Thank you.
You about ready, Mike? About ready? Can I give you just a second?
Seconds up. Might be wrong. Oh, yeah, I forgot.
Everybody ready?
Yeah.
Call us to council meeting order, pledge allegiance, please.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Jane Pope.
Present.
Aaron Cook.
Here.
Bill Bruner.
Here.
Mike Lawrence.
Here.
J.R. Holcraft.
Here.
City Attorney Leslie Votaw.
Here.
Utility Director Mel Davis.
Here.
Assistant Police Chief Mike Lanning.
Here.
Mayor Dennis Carr.
Here.
And myself.
Any announcements? Hearing none, review and approve claims.
I'll move.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
New business, Grant Hughes, grant recommendations from
Sign,
the
you,
Regional
J.R., sign that, and I'll
Economic
pass it away.
Selection Committee.
Thank you, Your Honor. The Regional Economic Development Grant Committee met on December 12th. We reviewed 12 applicants, and I sent out the packages about 10 days ago for review. If it pleases the board, I'll start with assigned number 5, 2013. It's Proximo Distillers, Lawrenceburg. Sponsoring agency is Lawrenceburg Redevelopment Commission. The grant request was 1.8. Their total cost of improvement is 24 million, over 24 million. Their employees was currently 85 plus a 75, giving them an hourly wage of about 25.87. The grant committee awarded $1 million. That's their recommendation to this council. Any discussion?
Only thing I'd like to say is I'm glad to see more jobs in the city of Lawrenceburg.
We'll do these individually.
Yes, if we could.
Entertain a motion.
Make a motion to pass.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
I guess that, hold on, I'm sorry. That should be subject to review of the interlocal agreement.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
Sorry about that. All in favor, I guess.
Okay, I did the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
All against? Ayes have it.
Okay. Application 6-2003. This is for the city of Batesville. This, they requested a $1 million grant for preparing property that they have for shovel ready. They also requested doing a speculative building. The commission looked at it as two separate projects. First, the road needed to be done. The commission recommended that an award of $500,000 be made to the city of Batesville for this project. Is there any questions?
I have a question. What is the shell building?
That's a speculative building that they want to build on the site after they get the road in. So what the commission did was break that away and just concentrate on first. Let's get a road, to the site improved to get it shovel ready, and then come back next year to look at. And what they're doing, Mr. Lawrence, they're putting up spec buildings that are mostly just the roof and the wall, no floor.
The building they want to market.
And they just want to market it. It seems that most of the inquiries we're getting these days is for 50,000 square foot plus buildings, and some of these communities have started putting up spec buildings.
So the award amount was 500,000?
Yes. Yes, it was. Recommended. Any other questions?
Entertain a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All against?
Application 7-2013, Ivy Tech. This is a proposal that centers around, in addition to the original Ivy Tech of about 19,000 square feet, to house a laboratory and education area. This application deals with educating the workforce on assembly line. Not so much what's coming down the assembly line, but more importantly, how to keep an assembly line running. And what this lab does, it educates in the areas of the robotics as far as how to set them up and program them, along with the maintenance required. Pneumatics, motor controllers, so the electrical systems and that. And it actually has an assembly line that goes down through that, and these support materials are there, and the workforce is taught how to, in a sense, keep a line running and doing the calibrations and that for the pieces of equipment that support the line. Their foundation has put up $3 million. The recommendation of the committee was to award $300,000 at this time to assist in finishing the schematic design and that, and pin down the cost, which they're currently, Ivy Tech's currently working on that. So the $300,000, and then have them come back once they've got the cost pinned down and review it as a total project. Any questions?
Oh, I do. I'm sorry. I got a few issues with this. One, why is there no sponsorship?
It was the college that came to it, so we didn't run it through for a sponsor.
Okay, because
we can go back and get a sponsor. And in the early stages of it, we figured that.
But another thing has to happen, Mike, is their board also has to, I think this was very preliminary as far as what I understand. Yes. But their board also, they have a board that will have to approve everything too, and I don't think they're even at that stage yet. There's someone from Ivy Tech here, though? Is there?
I don't believe so.
No.
Because there's no, in the program application, it says must be sponsored by the governing body. So that was one of my questions.
I think we can go to the redevelopment and get that done. We can make it predicated on that.
Another issue I have is it's for $300,000 for preliminary design and cost estimate. But then if it doesn't happen, there's $300,000 thrown away. And it says right here, without the funds from Lawrenceburg, it won't happen. So, and we're going out spending $300,000 on something we don't even know if it's gonna happen. And didn't Lawrenceburg build them 2 schools?
That's before my time. I wasn't involved in them.
Yes, we did.
So,
Yeah, we did.
and then I believe people pay to attend school. So they got a couple free buildings. And then I know they was leasing part of the facility out for a long time, bringing in income off a lease to the building that Lawrenceburg supplied them with. And I'm just not supportive of it for those reasons.
Any other questions?
My only, I guess it is, that this project will not be completed unless Lawrenceburg follows up with the funding of the building. And like Mike says,
Right.
we don't know.
Well, they were looking for a partnership, so I can let them know, whatever the board decides.
I think it's a wonderful idea. I really
Yeah,
do.
it would be educating the workforce in an area that's probably needed in the very near future.
There was even, I mean, there's other classrooms besides technical training. There was a welding, I don't know. Like a very.
And I haven't, I like the idea, but I'm just looking at the total picture of $300,000. It might just be out the window. And plus, they've got a lot already.
Okay.
Is there any way they can cover that expense to get that dealt with so they could come back to us in the future?
They were looking for a partnership, so we'd have to go back to and have discussions with them, depending on what this board decides.
Any more from the board? I'd make a motion to approve it because all the education we can get in this county, better workforce.
Leslie, should there be pending a sponsor approval on there?
It should. I
Predicated
do
on
need to look
sponsor.
as far as governing body, sponsored by the governing body that will ultimately be responsible for utilizing it. Because we have done it directly to other entities. I mean, Hollywood is the only one that comes to mind at this particular instance, but I'll definitely check into that because they would be considered, a state board, their board of, I'm saying their regents or however they're, so yeah, I'll definitely, but yeah, we could put contingent upon sponsoring agency.
Add that to your motion, JR?
Yeah, that'll work.
Okay, here's a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All against?
Aye.
Roll call, please.
Yeah. Jane?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Mike?
No.
Okay. And JR?
Yes.
Okay, yeses have it.
Ayes have it. Okay.
Next.
Application 8-2013. This is an application by Community Mental Health Center.
Ours is 4, I believe. You have 8, I don't have 8.
That's the wrong one, honey. He doesn't even have
Yeah,
an
I don't have an 8.
Got a blue?
Nope. Yep, I got one. Okay. I'm ready.
You ready?
Yep.
Okay.
Or you.
All right, so 8-2013, Community Mental Health. The total project cost is just over $1 million. They're requesting $100,000. This is, they were awarded a grant by the state, and they've worked out an agreement for a 3-year lease with the hospital. Those numbers are in this. They also got some staffing in there and that. They're looking for just under 100,000, right at 100,000 for fixtures, furniture, and equipment, and some salary for the person that'll be in charge of the place. It's a 10-bed transitional residential facility.
Leslie, we talked about this at a prior meeting about the salary issue.
And it does say executive salary. I don't think that this person that they're talking about is going to be an executive salary, obviously, at $32,000. One of the questions I had, though, is that just, I mean, for that upcoming year? I mean, where would you come up with the funds for later on? Hopefully, the program would sustain that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Part of our business plan with this is a 3-year rollout, and we have been successful in getting the program off its feet, but we will be doubling, now actually tripling the workforce for just this program alone and over the next year. And we've been successful with the people we have, been able to sustain those positions easily.
I mean, even, just looked at it as far as when I pulled out an interlocal when we were in the meeting and looked at it, and it does say executive salaries. I think the whole point of that was so the CEO or whatever is not absconding with it.
And if that's correct, you know, because that was my problem with it, along with it's not sponsored by the redevelopment.
Redevelopment, yeah, that they have, that's something that's going to.
And I understand, but if it passes by this board, I just feel that pressures the board that should have made the decision if it should even move forward. I think it's putting the cart before the horse. That board should have been allowed to make their decision. And sure, that decision is probably that it would come here, but they shouldn't have to feel pressured that because it passed this board to make their decision.
I make a motion to table it till it goes back to redevelopment.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All against?
Aye.
Roll call, please.
Okay, hang on. Still goes back. I'm still writing from before. Okay. Jane?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Bill?
Nope.
Mike?
Yes.
JR?
No.
It's 3 yeses to 2 nos.
Okay.
What that means is we can get it on the agenda for the first meeting in January.
Is it too late to get it on the meeting for the 2nd or not? Because we have a meeting.
The agenda's already out.
Okay, so what's that, the 13th?
13th.
That'd only be up to the board whether it be old business.
When's redevelopment meet?
The second.
And 13th.
We have an organizational meeting on the 2nd.
On the 2nd?
Yeah.
Just for election of officers.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I'll be running that meeting or not. I would allow it under old business, but.
Well, I mean, we still have time. Today's Monday,
All right, well,
and the meeting's not till
we'll
Thursday.
get it on the agenda.
We
We'll
can
get it
make
on the
sure-
agenda as
We can
soon as we
post it
can.
and make
I'll
sure it's
get
gonna
in
just be
touch with
48 hours.
Tom or you, okay?
Except you can't count weekends and holidays.
Oh.
That's the only problem I see.
Holidays.
Today's, okay, we've got all day Tuesday,
Thursday, Friday.
and Thursday's the 2nd though,
Yeah.
and all day Thursday
I would just say to be there.
night.
If I am running the meeting, I'll allow it. I would say ever who's running the meeting will probably allow it.
Hello?
Okay.
There's mud. We do have a meeting at 5 o'clock on, is
The
it 5
second.
o'clock?
5 o'clock on the
5 o'clock.
2nd.
On the
5 o'clock
second.
on the 2nd.
In this chamber. Okay, y'all ready to go to the next one? Okay, application 10-2013.
Hey, Bridget, make sure Mr. Talbot's there.
This is, whoops, wait a minute, I may
gonna
have,
say you skipped
I
nine.
jumped one, didn't I? 9, let's go back.
That was redevelopment.
Application 9-2013.
Thought we were on 10.
Well,
We're
we,
not.
trying to find 8, got me messed up.
Or 9.
I only have 2 pages on 9. Is that all I'm supposed to?
That's all there is.
Okay, that's fine.
The letter from the Dearborn County Redevelopment Commission. In the past, when the Dearborn County Economic Development Initiative, they would make a request for funding to help assist with the economic development effort in the county. And this was done through the EDI, Mr. Mike Rosso and Paul Kunkel. And the EDI has dissolved and no longer exists. So the efforts of the 3 mayors, the commissioners, and with discussion looking at putting a position together at the county to have someone monitor the inquiries that come into the county, distribute them out to the appropriate cities or all the cities and let the city and mayors decide, or it's out in the county. Also, this effort would entail doing the research of all the existing businesses that are in the county so we can build that database, which will help us with the attractions of new industry to Dearborn County. And it would also include getting the web page up to date and also the collection of the demographic information that's required. It seems like there's been an effort from anybody that's looking to locate. They want an expanded demographics, and it's been interesting what they've been asking for, and trying to get our hands on the information. And part of this is when you get the application, you've got about 24 to 48 hours to reply. And so this effort was being handled there. It would now move to the county, and the county, in conjunction with the mayors and the commissioners, are asking for $100,000 worth of funding to accomplish those items.
This says a partnership with 6 redevelopment commissions. Is Lawrenceburg the only one that's helping to fund it?
At this time, yes, because of the funding that we have done in the past. And I think there's been discussion about how to fund it in the future and get it up on its own legs and get it funded by the redevelopment commissions themselves and the county.
Speak on this one.
And we got all kinds of people who would like to talk about that if y'all got any questions, so.
You can speak.
Okay.
I think.
You
Mike
know, I
wants to
always
talk.
have some.
Yes, Mike.
You know, I like the concept. What I don't like, once again, we're talking about it's money for wage. And this is a big wage that I think could fall under executive wage. Second, you know, by reading this, they work for the county, you know, so they're going to be answering to the county. The county has the money to pay for it. Now, if it was this position that worked for a board of, like Grant Hughes, Al Abden, Jeff Stratman, Terry Randall, where it was a board that made the decisions and told that person what they wanted and, you know, okay to move forward with or whatever, would be one thing, but this is, to me, we're just paying for an employee for Dearborn County. You know, and that's my problem.
Okay. This person would answer to the mayors and the commissioners. Now, the mayors would appoint whoever to be on that board, or the mayor could sit on that board. I don't want to say what that principle, but it is a concerted effort from the 3 cities and the county, along with potentially some towns in that. Is there anything that anybody wants to add over there in the side section?
Would you go to the podium, please?
I'll go to the podium.
You got 30 seconds.
30 seconds?
Uh-huh.
My name's Donnie Hastings. Most of you, or all of you, should know me. It's very important with economic development in Dearborn County, and over the last year, the cities of Aurora, Greendale, Lawrenceburg, and Dearborn County government have this bonding that I don't think we've seen in a long time in Dearborn County, and we have a lot of momentum, and it's important for us in Aurora to have an entity that can look at economic development issues, and I think the county would be the perfect entity because they're just not focused on one municipality, they're looking at the whole county. And if you have issues about future funding for the salary of that position, I think that's a legitimate question. I think that's something that we can work with over the coming months, but to neglect economic development, since we no longer have the EDI, I think would definitely be a shortfall for all of us. So I hope you take consideration to allow this money to be approved so the 3 cities, and Terry is down there, and then we can all work together, try to bring more business and more jobs. That's what you want, more jobs in the Dearborn County.
Yeah.
27
How's your?
Okay. Terry can talk as long as you want.
My apologies. I've had bronchitis for a week, so. But I made it here tonight. It's very important to be here, and I respect your questions because they're fair questions. And it's nothing we haven't already thought about. And it was a big concern for all of us. Now that we are working together, we don't want anybody to feel like somebody's driving the bus and they're not on for the ride. At the end of the day, we think that what we've done with this position is come up with a way to do what we've been wanting to do, but do it better, what we have been doing, and do it better by working together. It only kind of I guess you could call Dearborn County, the government, sort of Switzerland in this situation, because we do have a vested interest for everywhere in the county. The county is the only one that wins no matter where it goes. So it seemed to make sense that to use us sort of as a central repository. So our redevelopment commission did sponsor this, but there will be spelled out clear agreements in terms of how this position will first year be funded, but beyond that, how this structure is going to work. One big important piece of this that is new, that I think is going to change the playing field a lot for us, is we're actually going to be involving all redevelopment commissions, not just Lawrenceburg, Greendale, and Aurora, and the county. There's never been a tie-in. Those smaller communities have always felt like they were left out on their own. They don't have any resources, and I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but the structure before, with the leadership in place, the last thing they were worried about was getting all those redevelopment commissions to work together. It was more just going back and forth between the county and/or Lawrenceburg, and we're trying to change that, and we'd like your support and give us an opportunity. Beyond that first year, this is money that has been funded every year. We think we're going to make better use of the money this way. Beyond that, we hope the redevelopment commissions themselves will be able to fund it in the future.
Terry?
Oh, yeah, I will say that too, thank you. That is not at all salary. We are going to have to pay for a computer, the database, the website, frankly, needs a lot of work. So that's a lot of what this is going to cover, is all the expenses that go into it. It's probably more around a $40,000 a year job, to be honest. No more than 50, I would say.
What, 50 did you say?
somewhere in there, no more than, I wouldn't think, depending on what everybody would decide. It's not my call.
Okay.
Thank you for listening.
So who would decide your salary?
That would be collective among everybody that's working with the position. I think initially that would involve the mayors and the commissioners working with the folks that support them. And we would look to see what does it demand. We have a basic job description together, but I think the market kind of demands what you have to pay, depending on the talent that you see. But there's certainly no desire to inflate it. In fact, we'd like to use as much of that money as we can for the actual website design, that kind of thing. So.
Can you work the salary into the county's payout and somehow we'll cover something else for the $100,000? Because you will be employed by the county.
Well, I won't be employed. The position is going to have to reside somewhere, so we're probably going to have to either make it a 1099 contract position, or if you can't find somebody that wants to do it on a contract-only basis, probably would need to make it a county position, which means paying taxes and benefits and things like that. So then a portion of that probably would have to cover that the first year. So we haven't, to be honest,
So
we
no
haven't.
decisions have been made? Of whether
Nothing
it be-
firm in terms of exactly how that's going to work out. We're still trying to work through that. At this point, we were trying to definitely at least replace what was happening there and has been at that same funding level for years. So we don't leave a hole right now when we have momentum.
So Leslie, can a motion be made to approve this subject to council's approval of the agreement?
Yes. And when we looked at the agreement, again, this was another one that came up as far as executive salaries. I mean, you could delineate exactly what it was going to be for, you know, I mean, you could spell it out in more detail.
But I'm talking about also of, you know, who this person will answer to, as far as who will have say in to the person. You know, I just don't want it to be just the county say, or just Lawrenceburg, or just.
I don't either. I got enough work to do, really. So, I mean, honest.
But that's what, you know, I want to see.
Yeah.
More or less, at the end of the day, there shouldn't be any favoritism. We want to get business at home, what I call home, that's Dearborn County. And that's my concern. I just don't want to leave anybody out.
That's not opposite the goals of what the group's been talking about anyway. I don't think anybody would have a problem with that.
I'm just glad to see the collaborative effort that, you know, and everyone's involved. I think, you know, $100,000 is definitely worth getting you guys going, you know, and, you know, hopefully hit the ground running.
And when I tell you, Bill, the three cities in the county have never worked like this before. I mean, I'll tell you, he's been around a while, and Grant will tell you too. It's pretty impressive that we're all getting along the way we are and moving forward in a positive direction.
I say I've been around 10 years, and I know it's always been, you know, one or the other, not everyone. So
It's been working great. It has. The only bad thing is Donnie won't buy lunch half the time, but.
It's not like the Red Devils and the Tigers going fighting after a Friday night football game.
Actually, we have been working together really good. We have.
I haven't heard that.
This position is going to have a database where everybody can go get in it. Now we don't.
Next time you guys go to lunch, I'll cancel your credit card.
Somebody
else. I was going to say somebody will have to buy.
I would.
All right. Is there any more questions?
I was going to make a motion to approve, subject to council's approval of the written
Interlocal.
agreement.
Is that what you mean, the interlocal?
Well,
Agreement, or is
won't
there-
there be a separate agreement for this position and who?
contract.
That won't be part of the interlocal, correct?
No, okay.
Right, to the contract.
The contract, as far as the contract.
Okay.
Or
And the
however it
interlocal, I
is.
guess.
Okay.
Both.
Okay.
Okay.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All against? Aye. Roll call, please.
Okay. Jane, yes. Aaron?
No.
Bill?
Yes.
Okay. Mike?
Yes.
Yes, okay. JR?
Yes.
Okay,
Ayes
yeses
have
have it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, our next one is application number 10-2013, Polycraft Products, City of Greendale. A grant amount requested of $250,000. Total project cost is $4,900,000. 56 jobs at the start. There'll be new jobs to Indiana, and over a period of time, it ends up being 24 additional employees. The board, or the commission approved $250,000 as recommended award amount to this council. Questions?
It's me again.
Mike and Al, you might as well come on up to the podium.
This business already got $600,000, is that correct?
Right.
And one other question. I know I was at a Greendale meeting and Randy Maxwell had made a presentation for Polycraft, you know, where they was at. And at that time, they'd cut their jobs back, I thought.
No.
From what they had originally put.
No, sir. No, Al Abden, Greendale Redevelopment Commission. The original project was for a 30,000 square foot building with 40 jobs, up to 55 jobs by 2016. The project grew during the planning and development stages of it to the point where they have redesigned their building, added additional land, and instead of starting with 40 jobs and going to 55 jobs, they're going to start with 55 to 56 jobs and move to 80 jobs by 2020. The reason for the change is it's cheaper for them to do their expansion during the original construction. Also, they have already, with the market gain that they've gathered in their own marketing and sales, they've already increased their employment well above the 40 person now. And the other issue is that they have decided that they've got the money to put in their portion of it, and I can get those figures if you need them, but the one thing that's probably the most impressive is that they went with the geothermal HVAC system, and that's going to save them about $175,000 in tax credits they're immediately putting back into the business. So no, there was never any discussion of reducing the number of jobs, only increasing.
So as of date, they employ 55 employees?
55 full-time, and I think one part-time that they're working on making full-time. And they're busting out the seams in their facility in Cleve, so I think their hope is to be open by May.
At the latest.
By May of 2014.
So how many of them will be new jobs?
They'll all be new to Indiana, because right now we don't have any of their jobs. Now, several of their employees already live in Indiana, and any new hires the concentration will be, per every agreement that we do for any grant, is that they try as best they can to select qualified people from Dearborn County.
What is in the agreement if they don't employ?
There are clawbacks where they'll have to pay back based on the number of employees that they don't have. And that's typical of all of our economic development agreements that we have with our grant recipients. And if you haven't seen one of those, I'll be happy to share one with you. We've got several of those already.
I'm having a tough time with this one.
Anybody else?
So they're going to build a building in Greendale Industrial Park? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. As a matter of fact, it's already under construction.
That's what I thought it was already open.
Yes. It's not finished.
But it's just not finished because that's why there's no employees in Greendale right now. There's no employees.
Correct.
Yeah, it's at the end of Rudolph Way.
I'm sorry?
Is that right, Rudolph Way?
Yes.
Top quality, right, Al?
Yes, behind the Top Quality and Green Tree door.
Jobs, jobs, jobs.
And they put a significant amount of their own owner equity and cash into the business and into the project.
The way it is, they're gonna have 55 without this?
The plan is, and the idea was to get these guys hired and trained. They build their employees from the base up. They bring them in basically unskilled. They train them on their equipment. They train them up, and they have less turnover that way. And they try to grow their business from within, and it's been a pretty successful model.
And they probably don't get bad habits brought that way.
Well, you can break them early, I guess.
So it's at least a $5 million project, and they're requesting $250,000.
That's the total project. The total expanded project is, what's the number?
$4,965,000.
A little over 4.9 million.
Well, that's what.
Yeah.
But they've received 600.
Correct.
Before.
The difference for this second request is the difference in the expansion of the project to take it from the 40 jobs and to get the newer equipment and the newer employees in ahead of time. Now move to that 80 jobs by 2020 to move to those jobs more quickly. I think they were fine with the expansion, but now they're going to have to buy new equipment, and this is a big chunk of that new equipment and some training programs as well.
And for me, to make this additional $250,000 decision, I would want to see that agreement of what clause are in there.
Absolutely.
What would have to, so as far as me tonight, I can't be in favor of it because I don't know what's there.
We base our development agreements first and foremost on the interlocal agreement requirements that come as part of this program. And then we go above and beyond those requirements, and we have our own requirements that we've used very successfully with our last grants, in that if they don't accomplish what they say they're going to accomplish by the time they say they're going to accomplish it, we will sit down and negotiate with them if there are market issues that cause that, and then maybe we can adjust agreements. But for the most part, we agree that if they don't reach their goals that they put in their application, they have to pay back. And the other thing about that is we don't issue checks for the new instructions on the revised grant application. We don't give them anything until they've spent their own money.
So they spend all their money before they get.
Yes.
That's one thing I like.
Yes.
I see it as a good economic development investment, and I'm in agreement with it.
Thank you. We do too. We try not to bring you any that we don't, because we vet them pretty hard. We work with them to make sure it's the right project, and you can ask those two. I've worn them out with questions. We try to bring something that's going to work.
Do you know
Nothing's foolproof, that's for sure.
Do you know what that clause is if they don't add these additional jobs?
It's based on money per job.
It's $20,000 per person per year that we're underneath our requirement, or the commitment.
Thank you. I would know that too if I had to sign it.
And how long is that for?
It's probably for the life of the project, which for the last, it was 10 years, for 10 years.
Well, the project is 4 jobs per year up through 2020 after they get established. And then through 2020, they're supposed to be up to 80 jobs.
And for sure, that is
that's what will be in the agreement. And I've stressed this more than once, that don't tell us numbers if you don't intend to meet them, because you're going to pay for them if you don't. Don't tell us numbers just to get a grant, because you'll be paying it back. They're putting a pretty substantial investment in the county here. It's a heck of a building. It's not just a box. It's a custom-built building.
Will any grant money be coming from the city of Lawrenceburg,
From the city of Lawrenceburg?
from the city of Greendale?
The Greendale Redevelopment Commission has, and I think we have a schedule in there of what we have given and what we've given in utilities and land, and money. But there's a
Like almost
There's a spreadsheet in there that breaks all that out.
Almost $300,000.
Where we at, Grant?
You're talking about this sheet?
Yes.
Okay, be the third sheet.
Aaron's got me. Took care of me.
Fourth sheet in.
Any more?
Other questions?
Entertain a motion.
Thanks again.
To approve.
A second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All against? Ayes have it.
That was predicated on seeing the clawback still, Mike, or see that language?
I would assume it's going to be with the interlocal.
So we just mirror it through? Okay.
I've done that before. Just gonna copy it and show you.
All right, next application is 11-2013, City of Greendale. Assistance with overhead cost, or cost of running their redevelopment commission. They've got a total yearly budget of $183,973. They're requesting assistance with $42,000. Even the back here, you've got a sheet that outlines how their budget is set up. And at this time, I'll let Al come up again. Answer any questions.
Al Abden, Greendale Redevelopment Commission.
Is part of this, Al, to pay Sage?
This is, no, it's not. The items that are, there are items highlighted in the right column on your spreadsheet that tells you the items that are included. And basically, this is back to the same thing that we were going through with the person that we were talking about maybe being housed at the county, and the fact that EDI no longer exists, and we were paying for some of their fees through our redevelopment commission for marketing. I think we wrote them a check last year for $15,000 for a marketing campaign. And we, as a redevelopment commission, are working more regionally now, along with the the Lawrenceburg Redevelopment Commission on their own, basically, but they've been working separately, but we're trying to get that all together too, but along with the Roars Redevelopment Commission, and the counties, as far as working to pick up some of the other slack that we didn't have to do. We're doing a lot more. We're going to have to take on more of the marketing and some other things ourselves that EDI was doing, and you guys were funding EDI and some other redevelopment commissions, and we thought we'd throw it out there and see if we could get some help in that end as well. We use a lot of our time also to help set up other redevelopment commissions for this regional program. I know I personally have helped Franklin County and St. Leon, working with helping them set up a redevelopment commission, because we were one of the first ones in the area to be established.
On this sheet here, I don't know if it's...
Yes.
It looks like all the Greendale redevelopment grants, I mean, Lawrenceburg's paid 90-something% of those grants.
Those are all, that list right there are the grants.
Only Lawrenceburg grants?
Those are, yes.
Okay.
That was requested, and I think I put that in there. It was, the request was for a document, and I put that in there thinking that's what Grant wanted, and he wanted some other report, so.
Who will be doing the traveling and continuing education?
Probably myself and Angela Walters, I'm sorry. Work every day together and can't remember her name.
What kind of professional service will you seek?
Well, a lot of times we have to use bond counsels if we're doing TIF bonds. So it'd be legal counsel out of Indianapolis that we use for our TIF bonds. And you also have to use an economic, it's an accounting firm. We also use London Woody out of Indianapolis for that.
By promotional, I believe I'm on the right line. It's got in parentheses 1. Is that an employee to do that, or?
No, that's just like, for instance, we gave EDI $15,000 for that WLW marketing campaign that they did last year. And I'm suspecting that we're all going to do more marketing once we get everything set up as far as how we're going to have a final, however this final organization shakes out among the 4 entities.
Do you look for your 215 budget to be approximately the same or more, or how do you?
I don't have that. I would think, hopefully, if we get this thing going, that we can do less on our end. So I don't suspect it'll be more, no.
And you believe that you'll eventually be able to fund the full funding for your?
If we can't, we won't do it. That's for sure.
There's hope, though. Give me some
hope. Oh, yeah, there's always hope.
Any more from boards?
Well, one more thing.
Sure.
I was just looking at the list of grants. And you got clause and everything about those number of employees for every one of those?
No, the first few, this was all new to us. Matter of fact, the first one we got involved in, we got invited by Lawrenceburg to get involved in it. We didn't even know that anybody was asking for a sponsoring agency. But over the years, this thing has evolved into something a lot bigger, into as far as what we do in our initial development agreements, and as have the interlocal agreements evolved, requiring more. So as the interlocal agreements required more, then we push all of those requirements onto the development and then some. So, but we do have agreements for most of those, yes.
It says, will this project occur if grant funds are not awarded? And I assume this is a yes.
It'll definitely happen. It just, we may not give money for promotion, marketing, and things like that if we don't have it.
And I like your creativity on hopefully many jobs.
Well, that's the whole goal of this whole cooperative effort, is to create jobs throughout the county, not just in any one area.
Any other questions?
Just a comment, Al, Greendale, you guys do a good job as far as, in the last several years, you guys brought in some business, some good business, so keep it up.
Thank you, but we couldn't have done most of this without this program. That's for sure. But I appreciate that. Thank you.
Brought some good business.
Entertain a motion?
Motion to approve.
There's a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All against? Have it.
Okay, next application is 12-2013. This is for the town of Osgood. It's Wheel Sun China. It's in Ripley County. The grant request amount was $900,000. The project is total cost is $6,584,000, and there's 100 new jobs. This application was tabled by the commission, and wanting further information, and the information that we're looking for is some documentation from Indiana Economic Development Corp. This is a company that's sitting in China that would have to be picked up and moved over, and got to get everybody's excited about doing that. But the issue is we really need the state to come to the forefront on this one and do some vetting that we're not able to do. You know, I'm not excited about going to China and looking at equipment because I wouldn't know what I'd be looking at. But the thing is that we need the state to take a role in this. Also, the other issue we have is this group that came together is currently under contract on another grant project, and that is Solar Entrum in Osgood. It's the same ownership. That has it's been, I'd say, 8 months since they've been formed in that. We're still trying to feel it out, see if they're going to make their commitments and that. So it's a little bit of the unknown with this new company. It's new to Indiana and to Osgood. And then on top of it, the logistics involved with how do you vet when you're looking at picking up something in a faraway country and moving it here and that. So it was tabled for further information to be gathered. Any questions?
So do you know if that company, to this point, have they met their obligations?
At this point, it appears that they have, but again, they're just getting set up. It's not really down to the employment numbers, and that'll start rolling in 14.
That's the guys that they were here in the summer with the presentation, correct?
With the solar panel?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Solar Entrum.
Yeah.
With
same owner.
The drying, yeah, that owner with, and that was the other thing. When we did the vetting on that, we were vetting an owner that was in the U.S., and we were also vetting a owner that was in Germany. So, and that gave us some challenges at that time. So we're just being cautious with this one right now. Sorry about that. Any questions on that? Okay. Application 13-2013. This is submitted by Aurora Redevelopment. They had requested $300,000 for a variety of projects that they're looking at. The award from the commission was $100,000, with the understanding that as they further define their other projects, they could come back and request those in 2014. Any questions on those? And then Aurora Redevelopment, just some back history, and not to take Donnie's spot here, but you know, they just formed last year and got up and running, so it's a pledging redevelopment commission. Yes, Mike.
I think you know my feelings on this, just because this is a home. I hear all this about economic development, and you know, everybody wants to help, I think. But then we got our neighboring city, which is part of our community, and we cut them. You know, their numbers cut down, but then we'll give Brookville $300,000 for a movie theater, $300,000 for something else. This is, I mean, it's like our relative. You know?
Yeah, but they got
the hips over here, and I don't understand this.
Well, if you go back to page 5, there's ranges that they're given on dollar amounts. And so if you took the low end of it to the high end of it, and then they talk about the investment by the city of Aurora and projected TIF bonding and that, you know, God bless them. They're trying to get organized. They're trying to move forward. And we were trying to say, you know, because one of the things commission's got to look at is they got to be able to touch and feel it. So it's got to be a real project. And some of this was speculation on this may happen or may not happen. So the commission felt like, okay, we know they're trying. Here's some money and please come back to us when you get this more defined. And that's to combat some of the criticism that we're throwing money out and not targeting it to a project.
But
I imagine that the mayor would take more.
I mean, but I look at this, you know, we're talking about a municipality. We're not talking about a private company. Okay. And it says if they don't get this grant, it's not going to happen. So, but we're only awarding a little bit of it. You know, even if you take the bottom number there, you know, a third of it. So is it going to happen? And once again, I don't want to put some money out there. You start a little something, then it's done. You know, it stops. And I mean, that's just my 2 cents. I mean, this is our home, our community.
Can I call you Uncle Mike?
No.
Yeah, go ahead. I think in our grant application, we drawed out 3 projects in that application. And like Grant said, it is relatively new. Our redevelopment commission just got reformed last year. We've done a couple of TIF areas. We have an area west of Aurora, out by, I don't know if you're familiar with the Stedman Machine Company, but that whole area out there is prime for redevelopment. I have some brownfield issues out there that need to be addressed. That property's right on an active rail close to US 50. I have a second site, which is the old Casca Company property on Colmore Street. It's empty. It's another property that's prime for some development and get some employment out there. And then we've had 2 developers show interest in doing some housing project in our downtown. I think we all know if we had moderate to upscale housing in our downtown, that'd be a big stimulus to economic development in downtown with additional need for different services. It's all laid out there, and I appreciate that the committee recommended 100, but if Uncle Mike wants to bump it up, you know, we would be much appreciative.
Well, because later on you're going to hear me say just opposite on next page.
Well, that's fine. I'm on my application?
No.
Oh, okay. I was going to say. But
Must be somebody else's.
if anybody has any questions about our application,
You do have your projects outlined, but Grant, you're just questioning them whether it'll happen or?
Well, the commission felt that we needed more definition and invited them to come back to get the additional funding in 14. Now, I can tell you this, where does residential fit into this? It's never been involved in anything. So, we got.
That was one of the things they said,
that
would be
was
no
one of-
streetscape or residential.
Streetscape, stuff like that is something that we've kind of kept the grants away from, so.
But it's municipality, you know, they're not giving it to a business. You talk about economic development. If you put residents, guess what? They're going to spend money. And you hope they spend money in that town. Not a guarantee, but you hope. The one thing about Aurora, they got some useful land, and they got some big empty areas now, I know in downtown Aurora.
unfortunately. But some of the grant dollars may be used to help with marketing some of the sites that we're trying to develop. We'll work with that new person that's going to be hired by the county with that.
Any other questions?
Entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All against? Ayes have it. Mayor Hastings, we are not related.
I'll be back next year for some more, Uncle Duddy.
Okay. Next application is 14-2013. It's Dearborn County Redevelopment Commission is kind of the umbrella on this. This is efforts of the 3 mayors, county commissioners, some of the towns in the county. This is the planning document that you all heard about. This is an effort to do strategic master visioning planning for the whole county. And a lot of research has gone into what it takes to get this done. It's been done with those 4 entities involved, along with 5 towns. And a lot of people that can talk about this here, but it's in combination with OKRA, which is the state group. OKRA will put out a $40,000 grant to a community if that community's average median income is below the county. There appears to be 5 potential, 1 city and 4 towns that would qualify. This package also includes an economic impact study on focusing on specifics. This also includes a visioning, also a market study. It's got some downtown planning dollars in it, and it's got a look at some business parks. Again, this is an effort of the commissioners and the mayors, and we have some town people here tonight too. So total project is $638,000. It appears that Okra will be funding about $200,000. Originally, they had come to the committee for a request for $450,000. The committee approved $400,000. And I imagine there's going to be a lot of questions on this, so we'll field them between myself and some of the people on the other side of the room there. Questions? Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, if you take the Okra grants at $200,000, that leaves $438,000 left.
Well, you've got matching dollars that you have to put in for that, which is where the $20,000 comes in. It gets added to the 430.
So 458.
Yeah, you could use that.
I guess I'm confused of why the county, more so, I understand about the towns, expecting a lot more from Lawrenceburg to help with them, because I understand their funds are tight. But why isn't the county paying their share of the $191,000? Because I think the fair thing would be to take the $191,000 off, which would make it $267, and then divide the rest up between everybody else with the county should take the majority. off of the town. That's my.
Can I address that just?
Yes.
if that-
I'm sorry.
Do you have the spreadsheet that came with the application, I think, this one?
This one?
Yeah, if you look at the first line, at the top, it says Dearborn County, and run your finger across that, it'll show you that the county is putting up, part of that would be 84,000 for the county, and 12,000 for Aurora, Greendale, and Lawrenceburg. And on the study, 56,000 for the county, and 8,000 for the three entities. Is that answer your question, or is there another part to that question?
No, I just think the county should be picking up more of the tab than $67,000.
Okay. I just want to make sure we were
yeah.
looking at the right.
So Al, I got a question for you. Sure. You said that the county's picking up,
Well, that's their portion of it, Jane.
for Aurora, Greendale, and Lawrenceburg?
Well, how that was broke out between the three cities and Dearborn County was based on population.
So these numbers I'm seeing up above here, under Dearborn County, visioning 84,000, market study 56,000, business park 100,000, which equals $191,000. Where are they picking up money for the other municipalities that you mentioned?
Well, that's where you're looking at, there's some funds in there for St. Leon, and then mostly Lawrenceburg, Greendale, and Aurora. When you get to the economic impact study and the visioning and the market study, plus your downtowns.
I think there's a misunderstanding. First of all, they're not picking it up. That's their portion of the total cost, if we break this down by population. If we proportion this all out, if each one of us, we're going to take this out of our pockets, each of these groups that are in here, that's how much we would take out of our pockets for this study. Our request for the grant was to offset as much of those costs as we could, because this is an economic development program. To me, is my personal opinion after reviewing all this, and I think there were probably 75 people, I think, that showed up at the elected officials presentation that we had at Ivy Tech. If the county were taking it out of their pocket, they'd be taking $191,000 out of their pocket. Aurora, 110. Greendale would have less because we've already spent some of this money, and it won't have to be spent again because we just completed a brand new comprehensive plan. The information that we would supply, that's if you look at the 35,000 that Lawrenceburg and Aurora put in. That's what that's for. The second 35 and we don't have a downtown to worry about, so we're out of that part of it. But if you look at it, the bottom line is these are the numbers it's going to take to do this study. And I hate that word because it's not really a study. This is going to be a plan that goes further than any plan we've ever done, because we're going to do a marketing plan and actually have a follow-up to the plans that most people do. Most people do a comprehensive plan or a master plan, but they don't take the final steps and do the marketing study and then do the marketing plan that it takes to market what you've spent $35,000 or $40,000 putting together. This goes the final chapter and takes you completely through the process, so it's not just something taking up space.
So what's the total cost?
$638,000.
Any other questions?
Just again, that like the last thing, Lawrenceburg's funding the whole thing along with Okra. I mean, nobody else is chipping in anything.
Well, the commission felt that they needed to chip in at least $50,000. The request was for 450. The commission approved 400. And I think the word that was used was that way they take ownership and pay attention to it.
Might take better ownership and pay more attention if they put a little more skin in there.
Didn't we just do a master plan?
We did one in 2011, but we need to finish it. It's
Thought we did.
Yeah, but we need to also look at the downtown, our downtown. That's why it's laid out with market studies and that. Try to figure out what, in a sense, what are we going to be when we grow up? You know, as far as planning and that.
250.
Gotcha.
I think not only is plan too, it's going to show this 10-county grant. What they come to us to get money, it shows what they're going to do. It shows what their plans are going to do. We have some better idea what they're doing.
Well, I agree with Mike and Aaron. I think we will get better if they got more teeth in it. And I make a motion to support the Dearborn County and its cities and towns visioning and planning for $270,000.
Have a motion on the floor, to hear a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All against?
Aye.
Roll call, please.
Just a second. Jane?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
JR? No. Okay. Yeses have it.
That's for how much, Jane?
$270,000.
Okay.
All right. Next one is application number 15-2013, Franklin County redevelopment.
What was that grant? 1-3?
1-3. Hold on. I'm sorry. 15-2013. Come on. Got it? Okay. This is a Franklin County redevelopment. This was just formed last year. They are looking for assistance in their cost to operate. This is, they request $125,000. The commission approved $125,000. And
Are you on 16 or 15?
15 would be, because he
Did
said 15, that'd be Brookville.
Did I jump one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're on
I
16.
flipped them.
Sorry.
All right.
I don't
Which
know
one
what
do y'all
it's
want to take?
15.
It's not the one I'm on.
You're on 15 right now.
15 Brookville?
Yes.
Okay. 15 Brookville. City of Brookville, Franklin County, Brookville redevelopment, $300,000. Now, this is the second $300,000 that was moved into 2013 last January. We approved $300,000 that went out in this year that was a carryover from 2012. This is the second part of the Franklin, or Brookville's application. Originally, the commission had approved 600, and then council took a look at it, and we went back to the drawing board, came back, and council approved 300,000, and they were told to resubmit for the second 300.
Now, is this what started out as the Brookville Destination, Brookville LLC? I
Yeah.
thought that,
Well, that first 300 is what got cleared up there, and it went, and then this 300,000 got kicked back to the commission. They reviewed it, and it's broken out in there.
I know a portion of it was for the bowling alley to make it children friendly, to add the bumpers, and
That was
And
the
that
first.
got,
that's a part of this one, I mean, this new one.
oh, the new
Right.
one it is.
'Cause I thought when I was gone on vacation in October that there was 300,000 approved for them. There wasn't?
Just the 300,000 where I made the motion that none of it go to Destination Brookville, that was the only one.
Okay, so
And
that
I
was
stopped it
earlier.
going from the bowling alley straight to the movie theater because it wasn't in their original application.
Right.
But yes, they did come back for $300,000, Mike, while you were on vacation. But Grant, can you explain that? He came back to say that he was gonna reapply. Is that what it was? Because I know he came back twice.
Yeah, he reapplied for the second 300 back through the commission.
But he spoke to us on the second 300.
And he spoke to you on the first 300, which got approved that night.
He also spoke to us on the second 300.
And he said the second would go back through.
Yeah,
And it went back through the commission. Commission looked at it, now it's in front of you.
I thought he made two separate visits. You're saying he did this both in the same night?
I think it was.
I think he was here about 3 or 4 times.
He was here at least 2 or 3 times.
I know there was something about, I remember reading in the minutes when I was gone, but I can't remember exactly what it was. Which,
That's
I still
when
go
we made
back
the
to,
decision that we wanted to break it out into 2.
of how much have they already received, and then we cut Aurora, it just doesn't make sense to me.
That wasn't in a question form, was it, Mike?
I'll just give my opinion.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Any other questions?
Entertain a motion.
Motion to go with the recommendation from the grant committee.
Your second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All against?
Aye.
Aye.
Roll call, please.
Jane?
No.
Aaron?
Yes.
Okay, Bill?
Yes.
Mike?
No.
Okay, JR?
Yes.
Okay, 3 yeses to 2 nos.
Ayes have it, okay.
Yes.
Last one. So, the last one. Oh, this is the last one.
Okay, application 16-2013, Franklin County redevelopment. This is, they just formed a redevelopment commission, and they're asking for funding to help them with their costs this year. Since they're just now getting up and running, they need some assistance. They did not get any assistance from the county last year, which was discouraging due to the fact that of the $500,000 that was sent. Now that's been taken away totally. And so they're here requesting $125,000. The committee reviewed it, knowing the situation, and having some success up there. I mean, they've landed towards the end of 2012, they landed a nice project and they funded it on their own, about $250,000. And of course, you had NBC Group, you had the Hoctaw property that also got done. So where Franklin County was having a difficult time, they're starting to get it together and moving forward. And a lot of it is we pushed them for these redevelopment commissions because it gave us somebody we could communicate with. Before that, I think they had like 24 applications, only 4 had been approved in that. So this has greatly improved it up there. I think we have a commissioner from Franklin County here that will help me answer questions as they come up.
And you know, I do think it was a 126 total, wasn't it?
Huh?
I mean, I know it's only $1,000, but I believe it was 126. They might want to check.
Right.
It was 126 in total.
And I believe that's
They
what
were the
the
handling
commission
charge.
did.
That was $1,000 to cover the board member dues and the bonds.
It says on the first page, 126.
Yeah.
Grant, you touched on something I want to go back to, because I was going to ask. There was $500,000 that went to Franklin County for a lot of years. And I thought that was supposed to be redevelopment, is what that was supposed to be going towards.
Revenue sharing.
But if you look at all the correspondence and how it was set up in '06 and the correspondence that came back from the county, they said it would make every effort to use it for economic development. I'm not paraphrasing, that's pretty much what the letter says. And that came back from a council member from the county. Through the years, it ended up going to some general fund stuff. And at first, it looks like 100, 200, maybe 250, but then it got down to where there was very little money going out. They had a program up there where they were moving out some money out to some of the towns and to Brookville, but then eventually they cut that off this last year in 2013. So that's kind of the quick synopsis on that history. Yes, indeed.
So really, there pretty much was quite a few millions of dollars that went out there that got used for general fund. So I'm just going to say to this board, I would hope that this board wouldn't sit here and vote to approve more money to go to Franklin County for money that they had wasted for something that wasn't intended to. And I did read somewhere where a commissioner, somebody said they wanted to sue Lawrenceburg.
It was county council.
County council, okay. So, hey, that's
Well,
my feeling.
it's a good point, and in a sense, what really went on here, and with the 38% downturn with the revenues, I mean, it came up that it couldn't be funded anymore. But at the same time, we were making strides, and we've got newly formed redevelopment commission working hard in the county, and they came to us for funding just like Franklin County or Brookville had just also done, and they're getting a strategic plan together. I mean, they're doing the fundamental stuff. So the commission felt that at this time it was worth investing in.
What year did they start the $500,000 going to Franklin County?
The agreement was written up in '06. So I don't know if the first payment actually hit '07, but roughly. So it roughly had 5 years of it. Is that right?
6 years?
6
years.
So my thoughts, that's just me, I can only speak for myself, be grateful for what they got.
Scott, why don't you introduce yourself?
Okay, I'm Scott McDonough.
You, sir,
What?
Nothing against you.
And not a problem. I understand, I guess, your perspective on it.
Name, please.
Scott McDonough, or Commissioner McDonough from Franklin County.
McDonough.
Correct.
I'm good.
I was going to say that is good. Most people can't get that straight.
I know a lot of
first
people
round.
in Franklin County. I don't know you, but I know a lot of the names.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, if you know a lot of people in Franklin County, then I don't need to go into the details of the rough history that economic development has gone through in Franklin County.
Don't vote on any.
I'm actually nearing the end of my first term here. This will be my third year. So I came in 2011. So part of my challenge has been trying to put together what was agreed upon and what did happen in the past. Because by the time I got involved, council already pretty much had decided how they wanted to spend the money that was coming in. It was going to council, and they were deciding who was going to get what. So whatever we wanted to happen, we had to get council to agree on. Council had already decided that money was a general revenue sharing, that was separate from the economic development. When you look at some of the past letters and that, there's the letter Grant mentioned where one of the council members that was on at the time it started said, this is going to be used for economic development. I remember one of the letters, basically they distinguished between the general revenue sharing money and the grant program. So there's quite a few people that were under the impression that the general revenue sharing was not governed by the same rules as the $10 million grant program. So that was where things slowly started sliding the direction that council wanted to take it. If you look at the actual contract, the contract itself is very vague, which just led to people interpreting it how they want. All that being said, at the end of the day, that money's no longer here. When Grant, when I heard that the $500,000 general revenue sharing contract was being pulled, I came down here, talked to Grant to say, where exactly do we stand? I'd worked with Grant, we had come down to Greendale as well and talked when we were setting up the redevelopment commission last year. It was a political struggle just to get the redevelopment commission set up because of Franklin County's past history. A lot of different factions vying. So we're finally making some headway, we're making some progress in the right direction. And so when I talked to Grant, he said, well, as far as he's concerned, the money's off the table as far as anything going to the general fund, but if we want to come and talk about economic development, that's what it was always intended. That was what Lawrenceburg's intention was for that money all along. So come back and ask for it in relation to an economic development project. As we are we're a very young redevelopment commission, we're just getting started. We had already started doing the legwork with having a citizens input committee put together to review our comprehensive plan, which would then also lead to creating the basis for a strategic plan. But all that will be very slow unless we have the funding to actually move those projects along. So that is what you see before you represents is the redevelopment commission saying, here's what we're doing. Whether whether we receive the extra money or not, we've already started moving that direction. The monies that we have asked for will only help accelerate our growth and make it easier for us to establish a strong economic base in Franklin County with a functioning economic unit in Franklin County that will be able to partner quicker with Dearborn, with Lawrenceburg, with the neighboring counties, and we can start finding our place in the rest of the world instead of trying to be an island to our own would be the way I would summarize it. So that's kind of me throwing things out in a nutshell. If anybody has specific questions on it, I was just kind of giving an overview. I'd be more than happy to go into detail on any particulars that are in anybody's mind.
This very vague agreement that you're talking about, where did this agreement come from? Where did it come from? Franklin County write it? Did Lawrenceburg write it?
That's actually a good question, because I know whoever authors a contract, the ambiguities are usually ruled against them, so that's actually a question that would, on the legal side, would be interesting. I don't know who actually wrote the contract up. It doesn't say in the contract who prepared it.
Right.
There's an interlocal agreement.
Was there?
And there was an interlocal agreement that addressed it. And actually, in the interlocal agreement, Scott is correct. It's vague when it came to it did not pinpoint it to economic development.
Okay.
How many years did we enter?
Did Franklin County write the interlocal agreement, or did Lawrenceburg write this?
I don't know who wrote it.
I think it
was done jointly.
I think it was
back in those days.
Effort.
Well, could have been Tom Steidle, because that's where most of the letters.
The other thing is too, and you realize too, as far as revenue sharing, this was about the only county that was around that wasn't getting the revenue sharing. I think that's why the talks even came about.
The disappointment is it wasn't used for what it was intended, is my understanding. Still sounds that way, kind of.
Okay.
Wonder if the interlocal
Is there
even says what
any
it's
other
supposed to be used
questions for Scott or myself?
I don't know.
Well, I think he made some good points. He's going to up and run, and they're going to continue with or without this money. So I'd just like to see how well they take off and fly, and then come back next year to maybe ask for some money toward their redevelopment.
Any other comments or questions?
Entertain a motion.
I make a motion to deny the grant. They can reapply in 214.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All against?
Aye.
Roll call, please.
Jane, yes. Aaron?
No.
What? I'm sorry, what'd you say?
No.
Okay, sorry. Bill?
No.
Mike?
Yes.
Okay. JR?
No.
Okay. 3 noes to 2 yeses.
Okay.
So was it 125 or 126?
126, isn't it?
126 is what all the paperwork says.
That's this.
It's listed in the matrix with 125, 126.
Is that the last one?
Okay. 126.
Thank you.
Well, I think you need to make,
Yeah, and that,
I don't think there needs to be another motion.
you haven't had a motion to approve it.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
Make a motion to approve it.
Approve.
Second.
Wait a minute.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All against?
What's the
Aye.
motion
Aye.
for?
To approve it.
For 126.
Oh.
126.
Okay. 120, hold on. I know, I need roll call. Who seconded the motion, please? Did you? Okay.
I tried to, but Bill beat me to
Oh,
it.
that's, hey, you know, I don't care, I just need a name. Okay, Jane?
No.
Okay, Aaron?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Mike?
No.
JR?
Yes.
Okay, 3 to 2. Yep.
They have to reapply.
That's it?
That's it.
Grant, what about number 4213? Was that paid out?
4-2013 is the Port Authority, which that was handed out, if you all recall, that was done back several months ago. And that one was originally at 3.5. Are we in old business?
Go ahead.
Doing some vetting on that project and that, we found some things that didn't match up right. And that request was for $1,750,000. And we've since decided that that is not needed at this time. What's needed at this time is for some funding for the Port Authority for cost, since it's not sitting in the city budget or that, it's really sitting on its own out there. And that would be for legals, getting it set up. And then I think what the Port Authority will do is come back to the grant committee requesting funding for getting some studies done, analyzing what type of port. Also, there's got to be some discussions with AEP, what their plans are with the power plant and that. So there's some funding needed for operation costs, but there's no salaries in the Port Authority.
Leslie, are these applications such as this one, are these confidential now? Are they still confidential?
As far as the public
Or can
meeting?
I show people this last one right here? The one you got in your hand, yes?
Yeah, I mean,
It's still confidential, or is it not?
I don't think so. I mean, not with it, if it was
It's dead.
distributed.
Yeah.
It's dead, so no action was taken.
No action was taken on that. So the only thing is if you all want to help fund the startup of the Port Authority.
But that hasn't actually been brought to the commission, correct?
It hasn't been brought to the commission, but in a sense it's been brought through the commission and it's sitting there, which makes it here at council. But we don't need $1,750,000.
How much do you need?
Huh?
How much do you need?
We need some operation costs. One of our port members just walked out.
We got, well, Tom, you like to, you on the Port Authority, you like it, you know more about the ports than we do. You like to get up to speak?
What I believe that we said at the last meeting was exactly what Grant said, that we needed organizational funds, that there would be no payment to anyone other than the attorney, which the attorney from Lawrenceburg resigned from the commission, and I'm not from Lawrenceburg, from Aurora, and Aurora has to appoint someone else, and then he was appointed the attorney. That's Mr. Stratman. So I think somewhere between 100, 125, 200,000 is what, and this was for studies of the river, studies of the property that would be available for development, and it was to meet with I&M to see exactly what I&M was going to do, how long it was going to take them, what property would be available, whether they would be either jointly or lease the property to us, and then the studies would be done in, I think, in conjunction with the Indiana Port Authority, as the ports of Indiana, to determine what we could either get to ship out of here or get the ship in here. That was in general what was decided, but the decision was that we didn't need all this amounts of money because it would just sit in an account until we never knew when.
So your estimation about 200,000 we can take care of this?
Durant?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, probably so. We just have to look at the studies. You know, we've got to sit down with AEP and figure out what.
We're having a task force set together on that too.
We need funding to get up and running.
I just got a comment. Grant told me today that you had your first Port Authority meeting on Friday, December the 20th.
Yes.
And you elected Donnie Hastings as president?
Yeah, as chairman.
Chairman. And Grant as secretary?
Roped into that one.
Okay, so you've already had your first official?
Yes, yes.
Got an organization last week. Did not pick a treasurer.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
So you're at a standstill until you get some funds, right?
So
you're at a standstill, right? Or
we'll be begging,
Pretty much, yes.
begging back funds.
Are you going to take that through redevelopment? Which?
No, we can't go through redevelopment. No appropriation. But it's a grant program. I think that's the way it's done.
Even though it's economic development?
It's, but it's separated. Redevelopment is a department of the city, so it's a different entity separate from the city.
So we'd have to appropriate money like we would to the other thing?
Or fund it simply through the 10 county, or the regional economic development.
10 county probably the best way to go with it. Because it is economic development.
But it's entirely separate entity from the city of Lawrenceburg.
Yes, it's on its own.
Its funding is going to have to come from applying for grants, and it will be probably applying for federal grants. As it develops, it'll be applying for federal grants through the national waterways.
They'll get the paperwork together and everything. Next meeting we'll bring it up.
All right, thank you.
Any more?
That's it.
I do have a question, and I guess this is to the county. We were going to award you the $400,000. We awarded $270,000. Do we expect that project to still go up and be running?
Good evening, Kevin Lynch, County Commissioner. I would imagine, and again, I'm in a position where I'll have to go to, or one of us will have to go to County Council and request some additional funding for that project. So for me to commit to that at this point, I think would be beyond my abilities, but certainly that would be part of the process of trying to get additional funding, make up that shortfall to proceed with the project. It is a project that's very important to everybody in the county. Grant was involved in that project, Al Abden and Jeff Stratman, Terry Randall and a bunch of others, along with the town of Dillsboro and St. Leon and Moores Hill and everybody. So this is, again, is a project where a lot of people coming together and seeing the big picture, if you will, of and making improvements and looking at what we want Dearborn County to be and what it should be in their own little parts of it. So it is a first time, I think, that we've ever had this opportunity to move forward with a project like this. So it's very significant. I think it's very important, and that's the message I'm going to convey to County Council.
One more question. The firm that held the meeting at Ivy Tech, are they going to be the contracted firm to oversee this?
I'll tell you that we have had, and I was involved in some of those follow-up meetings with that firm. Still a lot of questions of exactly what we're looking for and what that project, or what it's going to look like when we're finished. So there's ongoing discussions with them, and we are looking to others that have done similar type projects. So at that point, and again, it's going to come down to, funding, obviously, if, where we're going to look and what firm we might use, or parts that we might be able to proceed with or not proceed with. So at this point, a lot of it's just up in the air. I'll tell you that I guess it was probably 2-3 weeks ago we had some follow-up meetings with them, with the firm, and trying to nail down more specifics on what they are presenting, what's going to look like when we're finished. Because that evening, it was sort of a lot of generalities, and there were a lot of, niceties, and it all sounded wonderful, and we all understand that's how it works. But, once you get down to the, in the mud, so to speak, and figure out exactly what we're going to do through the process, I think it's a good firm. I think there's a lot of smart people with that group. In those follow-up meetings, they had addressed and brought with them other projects that they had worked on. So at that point, pretty much everything was addressed to our satisfaction.
If I'm correct, I read these a few days ago, but in reading the grant application from the county, there were like 3 or 4 groups in the application that you may go with, or were they just all combined to this one group, or find that now?
It'll be up to the individual towns to make their decisions and the cities to make their decisions on what they need for that. We used information from those firms to put it together. As far as the visioning and the economic impact study, we've got those numbers from some national firms. The visioning is, Context is the firm that Kevin was alluding to, and there's other firms, and we've had discussions because it is something that before we start anything, it's going to be the individuals, communities that will be working on it, and then there's some joint, so there's a lot of decisions yet to be made. The biggest hurdle, which you all have helped greatly tonight with, is funding. I think we're definitely closer than where we were. We've got involvement from the state through Okra, and that's going to help a bunch. See how we go from here.
Absolutely. And Jane, one of the comments that I made to these firms in the meetings is, you know, we want to make sure we do this right. This isn't something we get a do-over on. So that's why we're digging, that's why we're asking the questions, that's why we're really getting involved, and we're comparing some folks out there as to who's done what, because we realize that this is a great opportunity of bringing everyone, cities and towns together to work on a project like this, and we want to make sure that we do it right straight out of the gate. So that's why we're taking more time to make sure that we have everything lined up before we move forward. And as Grant said, we certainly appreciate your help in this process and your help throughout all the processes, all the grants and projects that you've made possible over this year. I mean, it's pretty amazing to me to look at the number of deals that have gone through, the positive impact to our community and surrounding counties because of what you're doing. So thank you.
Okay, so I just want to make a comment for the record. I see that context was looked at, I see that structure point was looked at, and I see that applied economics was looked at. Those are 3 firms that you've checked into.
Also, Buxton.
Yeah, I see Buxton now.
Yeah. And those Buxton and Applied are national firms. And we're still investigating and having some discussion. Jeff Stratman and Terry have put some other names up there. We'll get somebody that works, and of course it will follow all the rules for procurement of professional services.
Okay, now I just want to make sure I understand this. Each city and town will have their own general committee.
Yes.
Then they'll send 2 to the county to represent that city, and that board will be the deciding factor on who gets the job, which firm gets the job.
On the local level, for example, Lawrenceburg downtown marketing or downtown planning will be done by that group. They will take their proposals, take the proposal, make a decision on that firm. That firm may have nothing to do with the visioning side of it. Visioning will be done at the oversight committee level, along with the market study and the economic impact study. Now, the economic impact study, a piece of that may be done by Lawrenceburg. Okay, because Lawrenceburg is trying to figure this out. Same thing with Aurora with housing. You may have an impact study for residential housing for Aurora. So the individual entities will work on it and procure the people they're comfortable with. At the steering committee, which you're referring to as the county, it's really a committee made up of everybody throughout the county. That will they'll weigh into the visioning, the market study, and the economic impact study. What portions of that are not used.
Okay, thank
It'll
you.
be a collaborative effort.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Any comments from the audience?
I'd like to make a comment if I can. Gary Fisher with Proxima Spirits. I'd just like to thank the council tonight for the approval of the grant and the funding and your support. Thank you.
Good jobs.
Terry, I should just forward any kind of interlocal to you then?
Yeah.
For review. We obviously have to come back in front of council, but okay. Thank you.
Any more from the audience? Hearing none, motion adjourned.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody against? Adjourned.
Okay. Make the motion to adjourn.